So, first, a very quick overview. The exam has two parts, Section A and Section B. Section A is the multiple choice part. You get 12 passages, 42 questions, and 95 minutes in total. Each passage usually has 3 or 4 questions. Then there's Section B. That's the essay. You choose one topic from 3 and you get 40 minutes to write it. After enough practice, you start seeing patterns. You notice when an answer is too broad. You notice when it adds information that isn't actually in the passage. You start spotting assumptions, flaws, changes in tone, and weak arguments much faster. It's basically about training your eye. And the only way to do that is by solving a lot of questions. But there's one important thing. Just doing questions isn't enough. You also need proper explanations. You need to understand why the correct answer is correct, and just as importantly, why the other answers are wrong. Because without explanations, you can easily make the same mistake again and again. You might get a question wrong, check the right answer, and think, oh, okay, that makes sense. But then the same type of question comes up later and you make exactly the same mistake. That's why explanations matter so much. And then there are timed mocks. Honestly, these are one of the most important parts of LNAT preparation because time management matters a lot. You only have 95 minutes for Section A. That might sound like plenty of time. But once you're reading difficult passages and comparing very similar answers, the time disappears quickly. You need to understand your own speed. How long do you normally spend on one passage? When should you stay with a difficult question? And when should you just move on? Because if you spend too long on one passage, you might have to rush through several easier questions at the end. And your goal is to answer everything. You're trying to get the highest score possible. So leaving questions unanswered because of bad time management is something you really want to avoid. But don't just finish a mock, check the score, and immediately start another one. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes people make. After every mock, go through your mistakes. Ask yourself why you got each question wrong. Did you miss an important word? Did you use outside knowledge? Did you misunderstand the argument? Or were you just rushing? That review is where most of the improvement actually happens. Now, Section B. This part is often underestimated, mainly because it doesn't give you a numerical score. But universities still receive your essay, and it can play an important role in your application. You only have 40 minutes. That's 40 minutes to choose a topic, plan your position, write your main arguments, include a counter argument, and finish with a clear conclusion. It's not much time. And a good Section A score doesn't mean you can ignore the essay. You can still write a very weak Section B answer. Maybe the structure is unclear. Maybe the argument goes nowhere. Maybe you repeat the same point in every paragraph. Or maybe you completely lose focus halfway through. And even with a good Section A score, a poor essay can still hurt your application. That's why real feedback is so important during preparation. Not just a general comment like, good essay or needs more detail. You need feedback on your structure, your arguments, your counter arguments, and ideally every paragraph. Because sometimes an argument feels clear in your head, but it isn't clear on the page. You know what you meant. The university reader doesn't. They can only judge what you actually wrote. Before I found a method that worked for me, I tried a lot of the usual preparation materials. Books like The Ultimate LNAT Guide and The Ultimate LNAT Collection. And honestly, I didn't find them very useful. The structure felt outdated, the passages didn't feel right. The questions didn't feel close to the real exam. and it was difficult to build a proper study routine with those materials. The official exam website is useful for understanding the basic format, but some of the sample materials are very old. Some of those questions still have 5 answer choices. The real exam I took had 4. And in my experience, the official passages and questions also felt quite different from the actual exam. So they're useful as a starting point, but I wouldn't rely on them alone. The resource that helped me most was LNAT-practice.com. That's the website I used during my own preparation. It gave me a much clearer way to prepare for both Section A and Section B. There's passage practice, full-timed mocks, timed essays, detailed explanations, feedback, and performance analytics. And the questions and materials were very similar to the real exam. For Section A, the website has 7 different skills and 9 subject areas. So you can practice things like main ideas, inference, assumptions, flaws, tone, meaning and context, and strengthen or weaken questions. That means you don't have to prepare randomly. You can actually see which question types you struggle with and focus on those directly. The full mocks were probably the most useful part for me. They're complete timed mocks and they're extremely close to the real exam. They help you practice your timing, your focus, your reading speed, and your ability to stay calm under pressure. After each mock, you can go through your mistakes and see which question types are causing the most problems. And after doing enough timed mocks, the real exam feels much more familiar. For Section B, there are more than 300 essay topics. You can write under the real 40-minute time limit and get detailed feedback. The feedback looks at your structure, your arguments, your counter-arguments, your clarity, and every paragraph. And honestly, that was one of the most useful parts for me, because I hadn't found another resource that gave this level of detailed essay feedback. In total, the website has more than 4,000 questions. There are full mocks, targeted passage practice, essay topics, detailed explanations, and analytics. So there's enough material to practice properly without seeing the same questions again and again. The price is also very affordable. 1 month of full access costs only £15. And I always say the same thing. Spending a small amount on proper preparation is much better than getting a weak result, waiting another year, paying the exam and application fees again, or ending up at a university that wasn't your first choice. The LNAT can affect where you study. So, good preparation is worth taking seriously. You can find the link and a promo code in the comments and in the description. Let me know how you're currently preparing for the exam. And feel free to ask me any questions about the exam, the website, or my own preparation. Good luck with your exam.